So, yeah. So does anybody remember what's the last verse that has been discussed? Yeah, it's verse number 32. So which is Vyamoha Prasamaushadam. Okay. So I think, yeah, this is a very beautiful verse which speaks about how the holy name, the medicine of the holy name, it cures all diseases. Yeah. Vyamoha Prasamaushadam. That is one which I guess you all remember what Mataji might have probably said about how the holy name delivers from the clutches of illusion of Vyamoha. Yeah. And it is like glorifying how the holy name medicine can cure all the diseases. And that is why King Kulashekar Alvar is instructing the mind, Pibamana Shri Krishna Divya Aushadam. You know, the elixir of the holy name of Krishna, O mind, please drink. So there is a very nice verse, a rare verse in the Ayurveda. Yeah. In the Ayurveda, there is a verse saying that Achyuta Ananta Govinda, no, Achyuta Ananta Govinda, Namocharana Bheshajaha. Yeah, where whoever is Ucharana, Namocharana, whoever is reciting these names, yeah, Bheshaja means medicine. Yeah, whoever is reciting these medicinal names, Nashyanti Sakala Roga, it cures all diseases. Satyam Satyam Vadamyaham. You know, twice Vedavyas is saying Satyam Satyam Vadamyaham. I'm telling you this truth. What is the truth? Yeah, Achyutananta Govinda. The holy names of Lord Krishna, like Achyuta, Ananta, Govinda. Whoever recites these names, it cures. Yeah, Nashyanti Sakala Roga. It cures all diseases. He's saying Satyam Satyam Vadamyaham. So currently, when recently I've been to the Guha of Vedavyasji at this place called Badri Kashyap. Yeah, where is it? At Badrinath. Yeah, I mean, I'm currently in Rishikesh. So probably around 10 hours journey from here is the holy place of Badrinath. So it's the foothills of the Himalayas. It's just the starting. Such a exotic place. I mean, you have to be there to really feel what I'm saying. It's like you're living amidst clouds and such huge. I mean, you can really understand why Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita that in the mountains and the Himalayas. Huge, really huge. And amidst those beautiful mountains, there is, you know, river Saraswati flowing so blissfully. Such pure, crystal clear waters. You know, she's just coming from the rocks. And amidst that serenity is that very, you know, it's a beautiful cave, which is very difficult to access, actually. So, so that's the cave in which Vedavyas has compiled all the Vedic literature. Amazing. I mean, you enter the cave and you actually feel the living presence of Vyasadeva, very strong vibrations. So it is written by Srila Vyasadeva, that Satyam Satyam Vadamyaham. What is he telling? He's telling the glories of holy name. And one who regularly drinks this holy name is cured. Nashyanti Sakala Roga, in which scripture it is written? It's written in Ayurveda. Yeah, as a medicine for all the diseases. The holy names of Krishna can be a cure. And this is exactly the research I'm doing right now at AIIMS. How the effect of audible mantra recitation, that is chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, on the brain waves and the heart rhythms, like how it impacts pre and post chanting in the participants. And these participants are not exposed to any philosophy. They're just given the holy name as a medicine. Yeah. And they're tested pre-chanting and post-chanting. And each participant is kind of, and I'm revealing the study, each participant is tested upon for 5 weeks. And they're also given a placebo. What is it's a, I mean, I can't tell you right now, it's elongated, but this is the gist of it. Yeah. And I have seen with my own eyes how the readings of the HRV, the heart rate variability, you know, which is a test of how the heart functions, that has considerably improved even in just 30 minutes of attentive chanting. I have seen this participant has no exposure to philosophy, does not know why to chant. He's just given the mantra and he's just told to chant attentively for half an hour. That's it. And that half an hour, I saw that pre and post the reading of the heart rate variability, a significant improvement in the parameters which mark the cardiac health. So I was like, wow, this is like very exciting study. And I mean, what to speak of after 5 weeks of continuous, chanting. So it's a very, very interesting study that's happening in India for the first time. Be a part of. So I'll tell more maybe some other. So yeah, and I of course coincidentally have something about what I just spoke about, how the Krishna's holy name is a cure for all diseases, and how at the time of death it is a desire. And you find Prabhupada oftentimes reciting this verse whenever he was free or he was sitting alone or doing some work. There are many recordings of Prabhupada, even in Bhagavad Gita quotes. Yes, so we will start with the verse 33. We will do from verse 33 to 38 today. Krishna tvadiya pada pankaja panjarantam adyaiva me vishatu manasa raja hamsaha prana prayana samaye kapavata pittaihi kantavarodhana vidhau smaranam kutaste. So what does this mean? This is the supplication of a genuine sadhaka to the Supreme Lord Krishna, saying that, "O Lord Krishna, at this moment," adya aiva means today itself, at this moment, let the royal swan of my mind, Rajahamsa, royal swan of my mind, enter the tangled stems of the lotus of your feet. That is a very metaphorical description of the lotus feet of the Lord. So let my mind enter the tangled stems of your lotus feet. And how will it be possible for me to remember you at the time of death, when my throat will be choked up with mucus, bile, and air? So this is a prayer of a sadhaka who understands, the difficulty at the time of death. If you read 13th chapter of Gita from verses 8 to 12, which speaks about 20 items of knowledge. One of the item of knowledge is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. That means to be aware of the difficulties that encompass Janma Mrityu Jara and Vyadhi, that is birth, death, and old age and disease. So King Kulashekar Alvar, this is a sign of knowledge, that he's aware of what is the difficulty a Jivatma undergoes at the time of death. So that is why he's praying this way, at this very moment. Why is he saying at this very moment? It is because at the time of death, it is a person undergoes such a traumatic pain, which is, the most superlative pain that a person can undergo in the whole life. Yeah. That, the throat gets choked up with mucus and bile, kapha, vata, and pitta. There is a massive change in the condition of the body and mind. And at that time of crisis, it is that is, whoever leaves the body at the time of death while remembering me will certainly attain my nature. So Krishna has told that, remembrance of me at the time of death is, the perfection of life. But here, Kulashekar Alvar, as trying to apply this, he's talking about the difficulties that accompany. This is what is practical application. He's saying at the time of death, my body will not cooperate. I never know how my situation will be. My my throat might get choked up and I will not be able to even speak. And for the kind of pain that the body is subjected to, we cannot think of Krishna at that time. So forget at the time of death, we can relate to even right now. Let us say if we have a very bad headache or some stomach pain, or we are fatigued, how much can we think of chanting at that time? It's difficult, the mind doesn't permit us to go there, especially if a person is going through some kind of a bodily ailment. I remember there is one Prabhupada's disciple, one lady, she had Parkinson's disease. So, kind of like I was just having a talk with her and she said, all the time my mind goes into, during Parkinson's disease, there's an involuntary movement of the hands. Even without your volition, the hands start shivering. She said, all the time my mind goes into, stopping the hand from shivering. So how can I concentrate this mind on the Maha Mantra? So she was, genuinely feeling that. So it is old age blues, they say. Yeah, why old age blues? Because especially if you contract some lifestyle disease like diabetes or thyroid or Parkinson's being the worst, or any such things, lifestyle disease, or any ailment for that matter. It's so difficult to focus the mind on Krishna. Half the time, the mind just always goes into, managing the disease. What time have I eaten? What time have I taken the medicine, etc., etc. This entire focus goes on that. And what to speak of at the time of death? The mind is the whole body is in some disruption. So how can I remember? So Kulashekar Alvar is saying, that is why let me die right now. Only devotees can pray like this. Today itself, right now, I'm hale and healthy and I'm remembering you, Krishna. At this moment itself, let me just die. So this is the ultimate realization of what is of significance in life. This remembrance of Krishna. Now I'm healthy, I'm hale, and I'm able to remember you. So let me as well die. So I'm, I've attained perfection. So Adhyayavame Vishatu Manasa Rajahams. He compares this mind to the swan. Just like how the swan goes and tastes the stems of, the lotus flower. So let my mind also, and, drink the nectar of your lotus feet. Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavata Pittai Kantava. At the time of death, who knows what will be the situation? I may or may not be able to remember you. So that is why let me just give up my life at this very time. So it is said that the whole essence of our Krishna conscious life comes to life at the time of death. Just like how our entire preparation, when we have heard of this analogy many times, our preparation for the entire year shows up in our examination. So what all are our activities, attitudes, relationships, and exchanges, or all the qualities we have acquired, all connections, attachments especially, that we have acquired during lifetime, that's what comes up at the time of death. That is why it's so important. Just like we cannot write the exam well if we have not prepared throughout the year. Similarly, if we have not cultivated proper attitudes during a lifetime, it's not possible to remember Krishna at the time of death. So that is the whole essence of how we have led our life is tested at the time of death. So that is why Kulashekar Alvar is praying that at this moment, let me leave my body where I'm able to remember you. Yeah. So, so this is the desire and the prayer of a pure devotee, that one always remains attached. There is another verse in the Mukunda Stotra where Kulashekar Alvar says, Diviva Bhuviva Mamastu Vaso Narake Vanarakantakam Prakamyam Avadhirita Sharadara Vindo Maranim Te Smaranepi Chintayam. So he's telling that you place me anywhere, O Krishna, Diviva Bhuviva, either in the heavenly planets or on the earthly planets. Mamastuva. So let me stay anywhere. I don't care. You want to put me in Naraka, Narakeva, you want to put me even in Naraka, that is fine. But I have only this one request from you. What is that? Avadhirita Sharadara Vindo. That is, the most beautiful sight in this material world is when on a full moon, Sharad Purnima, when that light falls on the white lotus. Yeah, that is the most beautiful sight that we can ever behold in this material world. And Avadhirita Sharadara Vindo. And your lotus feet defy the beauty of even such spectacular beauty of the lotus in the full moon. Avadhirita Sharadara Vindo Maranaute Smaranepi Chintayam. So at the time of death, let me just remember those lotus feet, oh dear Krishna. So this is how a devotee always, through these prayers, regular recitation of his prayers, remembrance, develops that attitude or a longing to remember the lotus feet of Krishna at the time of death. So it is all these genuine hankerings, genuine yearnings, or genuine recitation of these prayers, which actually, it's like filing a bank account, and they come of use when at the time of crisis. So recently we were having a short session on prayers. I was just telling that at the time of crisis, none of the yoga can help us. Neither karma yoga, nor jnana yoga, nor ashtanga yoga. Only one yoga that helps us at the time of crisis is bhakti yoga. Because at the time of crisis, we feelingly think of Krishna, or we chant the holy name of Krishna, or we smarana, we remember Krishna. So that's the way of connecting to the Lord. And only that can help us at the time of crisis. So here is Kulashekar Alvar being totally aware of this sensitive situation at the time of death, is praying in advance that, my dear Lord, let me remember you and leave the body right now, because at the time of death, I have no idea if I can ever concentrate upon you. So this is the way a devotee thinks. And how does a non-devotee think? Thinks, okay, death comes sometime. So sabko jana hi hai, everybody has to die anyway. So why should we think about it right now and become, spoil our mood? So His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj was telling, the attitude towards death should not be that of fear or that of neglect. Yeah, one should simply be aware and prepare oneself for it. Be prepared for it. Not that we fear that, yes, death can come at any time. So, so there's no point doing any of our duties or being attached to anything, or, that's one extreme thought process. So one should not be in a state of fear towards the death, or not in a state of being, living in ignorance that it's not going to come, or even if it comes, let's see, that's ignorance. So what's the attitude of a sadhaka or a devotee? He knows that there is death impending, and one prepares oneself. Yeah, and prepares oneself by offering these kind of prayers. This is what Prabhupada did. Yeah, during his years of his pastimes. Whenever he found time, he used to recite these verses. And what was the departure of Srila Prabhupada? The most astounding, how much of what remembrance he had of Krishna, how he was, narrating Bhagavatam, how he was just giving the purports of Bhagavatam. Not one moment did he ever forget Krishna. So it is that yearning, even during the, they say the more we the more we practice, the less we bleed in the war. Yeah. So the more you do net practice, the better you perform on the ground. So, the more you prepare as a sadhaka, the better is the intensity at the time of need and crisis, especially. So this is the beautiful verse, which I guess all of us know by heart. And if we do not know, it is a very important verse to by heart and, keep remembering and reciting. It gives a very good feel, actually. So also in the Isopanishad, in the text 17, there is a beautiful prayer of a devotee. Yeah, Vayu Ranilam Amritam Akhedam Basmantam Shariram. Om Krito Smara Kritam Smara, Krito Smara Kritam Smara. This is in this verse, the devotee is yearning and supplying, he's supplicating to the Lord that, my dear Lord, so, let my life air just merge into the totality of the air, because that's what is going to happen in the time of death. All these 5 Panchabhutas mix into the Panchabhutas. But, that's the destination of this body. But the soul is praying to the Lord, Krito Smara Kritam Smara. Oh Lord, kindly remember all the services that I have rendered to you. Such a humbling prayer. See, this is again the attitude of the devotee. A devotee does not think that, I have done the service for Krishna only. He will automatically remember. Obviously, if he does not remember, he will remember. He is anyways, Trikalagnya. He doesn't forget anything. So I don't have to remind him. This is not how a devotee thinks. A devotee thinks genuinely. He prays. He humbles himself before the Lord. So whatever little seva I have done, Krito Smara Kritam Smara. Please remember and, be merciful unto me. So that's in just about this beautiful verse. And we'll move to the next one. Chetas chintaya kitaya swarasane namri bhavatvam shiro hastavanjali samputam rachayatam mandaswastirgham vapu atman samshaya pundarika nayanam nagachalendra sthitam dhanyam punyatamam tadeva paramam daivam hisatsitai. So this is a similar verse where, King Kulashekara Alvar is praying to the Lord that, he's actually telling his mind and all the senses to be engaged in the service of the Lord. Yeah, this is a similar prayer that we see in the prayers of Ambarish Maharaj and also King Kulashekara Alvar a couple of times in this very Mukunda Stotra. So he says, oh mind, think of the lotus-eyed Lord who reclines on the mountain like serpent Ananta, Naga Chalendra Sthitam. O tongue, glorify him. Yeah. Kirtayasva Rasane. Rasane is the tongue. O head, bow down to him. Namri Bhavatvam Shiro. It's telling the head, bow down. O hands, join your palms in supplication. Hasta Manjari Samputam. O body, offer outstretched obeisances to him. Vandasva Dirgham Vapu. It's telling his body to offer outstretched obeisances. O heart, take full shelter of him. That Supreme Lord is the topmost deity. It is he alone who is all auspicious and supremely purifying. He alone who awards eternal perfection. So this is a prayer in full knowledge of the position of Lord Krishna. Yeah, Krishna is Mukunda, just like the Mukunda Mala Stotra. He is the giver of liberation. Yeah, so he is praying to the Lord to please, you are the awarder of all the eternal perfections. So he gives through all auspiciousness and he can elevate us. So basically, this is the principle of utilizing everything in the service of Krishna. So this is the way of sense regulation. In the 20 items of knowledge stated in the 8 to 12th verse of Gita, 13th chapter, one of the item is, Indriyartheshu Vairagya, to be renounced about the objects of senses. So how do we do that? By engaging those senses in Krishna's service. So this is exactly how, I'm so awestruck to appreciate all these items of knowledge in every verse of King Kulashekara Alvar. So that is why it is said, in all the rasa there is tattva, and in tattva there is rasa. In Bhagavad Gita, in these, all the items of knowledge are stated, 20 items of knowledge are stated. In each of that item, we can appreciate in the prayers of genuine devotees. it's so amazing, we can make these connections. So this is what is Indriyartheshu Vairagya, to renounce the objects of senses. How do we do that? Here is practically what King Kulashekara Alvar is giving us, to engage each of that sense practically in doing seva to the Lord. Okay, so we'll quickly move to the next verse. Yeah. Shrinvan Janardana Katha Gunakirtanani Dehena Yasya Pulakodgamaru Maraji Notpadyate Nayanayor Vimalambumala Diktasya Jivitamaho Purushadhamasya. One who hears description of Lord Janardana's pastimes and glorious qualities. Please hear. Again, this is the beautiful mood of King Kulashekara Alvar coming into the forefront. One who hears descriptions of Lord Janardana's pastimes and glorious qualities, but whose bodily hair fails to bristle in ecstasy, and whose eyes fail to flood with tears of pure love. Yeah. Diktasya Jivitam. Such a person is indeed most degraded rascal. I mean, I don't know. I think it's directly addressed to me. What a condemned life he leads. Purushadhamasya. No question of giving any empathy only. Direct surgery without anesthesia. Yeah. Diktasya Jivitamaho Purushadhamasya. Such a person is most degraded rascal. Who even after hearing the description of Lord Janardana's pastimes and qualities, I mean, I guess we've been doing that, and whose bodily hair fails to, stand, and whose eyes fail to flood with tears of pure love. Just such a person is most degraded. Purushadhamasya. He leads such a condemned life. No use. So this is the, I mean, I really, somehow it's a very nice mood of Kulashekara Alvar, in the mood of a king. He takes that responsibility for his fellow men and even, shouts it. In the previous verses, Nathena Purushottametri Jagatam, Ekadhipe Chetasa, Sevyasvasya Padasya Dhatari Pare Narayane Tishtati. Yam kinchit purushattamam katipaye gramesha malpadritam sevyayai mrigaya mahenaram aho mudha varaka vayam. King Kulashekara Alvar is saying that such a person who, for these tiny favors of material life, that he goes and serves gramesha, that is, the tiny landlords of this material world. He goes and often serves them with all heart and soul and life. For what? For paltry things, maybe some food, maybe some water, maybe some better roti kapda makan. They go and serve, offering their lives to small landlords. But, forgetting whom? Lord Krishna, Nathena Purushottame Trijagatam. And who is there? And what is that Narayana doing? He is willing to share his own domain, that is his own spiritual world, with all of us freely. How? Just by Sevya Swasya Padasya, just by serving him with our mind, that is by remembrance. He is willing to share his domain of Vaikuntha with us. And forgetting to serve such a Narayana, we are going and serving Gramesham, small petty landlords. For what? Alpartha, paltry things. Aho mudha varaka vayam. That is, these people are fools, and varaka, asses. So in that position of the king, Kulashekara Alvar actually, with sense of belongingness, he says these words. It's like how Prabhupada oftentimes chastised, with the feeling of concern and genuine concern, care, and love. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Sita Mataji. So happy. So, what a very good. So it's saying such a person is degraded rascal and he leads such a condemned life. So, I mean, in fact, actually, this is the way that one even thinks of oneself in terms of one's advancement in devotional service. This is what the Sikshastakam second verse is all about. The namna makari bahudhani sarvashaktis. Tatrapita niyamita smaranena kal. Etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mama. Durdaivam idrisham. That means till now I have not acquired a taste for chanting the holy name. Although the holy name is filled with the complete potencies of Krishna, all sweetness of all the qualities of Krishna are very much present in his holy name. So, but the devotee humbles himself, saying that still I have not developed that taste. So this is okay. So this is how a devotee feels about himself, oneself. Yeah. So Kuleshekar Alvar is, shouting in a very with a lot of concern, and a devotee also genuinely feels oneself that one is not qualified or one does not have any taste whatsoever for the holy names of the Lord or to hear the pastimes of the Lord. Yeah. So we will go to the next one. Yeah. Andhasya medita viveka mahadhanasya chaurai prabho balibhirindriya namadheyai mohanda kupakuhare vinipatitasya devesha dehi kripanasya karavalambam. O Lord, the powerful thieves of my senses have blinded me by stealing my most precious possession, my discrimination. And they have thrown me deep into the pitch dark well of delusion. Please, O Lord of Lords, extend your hand and save this wretched soul. So basically, there is a connection. In the previous verses, King Kuleshekar Alvar is talking about how to use the senses in the service of the Lord. Yeah, that, let my body be used for playing outstretched obeisances, eyes to see the beautiful form of the Lord, and ears to hear the glory. So he was, I think in about 4 verses in Mukunda Stotra, Kuleshekar Alvar repeats this particular theme. But in this verse, Kuleshekar Alvar actually tells about the facts, the ground realities, that, these senses they don't listen to us. I mean, all of us have this. We know that this is how we're supposed to use our senses. But how much are we successful in actually doing so? Yeah. So starting from the mind, it is so difficult to control the senses. So that is why Kuleshekar Alvar is saying here that the thieves, the powerful thieves of my senses have blinded me by stealing my most precious possession, my discrimination, and have thrown me deep into the pitch dark well of delusion. Yeah, so this reminds us of the verse. Which verse of Bhagavad Gita we can remember with this? Just a small question of interaction. Which verse of Bhagavad Gita we can connect this to?
Dhyayato Vishyan.
Dhyayato Vishyan. Dhyayato Vishyantam sa sangasteshu pajayate. So while contemplating on the objects of senses, one develops attachment. Sangas. Yeah, sangas sanjayate kama, that leads to lust. Yeah, and lust leads to krodha. Unfulfilled lust leads to krodha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. So because of that, one gets into illusion or delusion. Sammohat smriti vibhrama. Yeah, smriti bhramshat buddhi nashu. So this is like the whole big cycle that leads to one totally losing one's discrimination. Buddhi nashu pranashyati. Because of that, A Jivatma falls back into the material pool, the whole cycle. So this is what senses can do. Even one sense, one roaming sense, in Gita, second chapter, Krishna says even one roaming sense can bewilder the most elevated person. So, we can, at any point of time, we can never take Maya easy. So even one roaming sense can actually degrade and bring down even an advanced yogi, even a man of discrimination. This is what Krishna says. Even a man of discrimination is pulled down by even one roaming sense. So this is how impetuous senses are. In Shastras, actually, senses are compared to being shameless. Shameless because the more you give them, the more they want. They're never satiated. So that is why, and they're very impetuous, always hungry. They want something. They're very demanding. And the more you feed, the more they want. And what does such a feeding do? It only degrades them. So this is how senses are. That is why Kulashekar Alwar is saying that, these senses are thieves. And what did they rob? They robbed my discrimination. Discrimination of what is right, what is wrong. Yeah, so when it's easy to relate that when we are dictated by our senses, we lose discrimination. We don't make the right choices, even if we are aware of it. Why? Because of being carried away by the senses. So senses are very impetuous. They're thieves. And what do they steal? They steal our discrimination. So again, the item of knowledge is Indriyartheshu Vairagya. One should execute, one should engage the senses right way. Okay, the next verse. Yeah. So this is the last verse of the day. Idam shariram parinama peshalam patatyavashyam shatasandhi jarjaram kimaushadam prichasi mudha durmate niramayam krishna rasayanam piba. This body's beauty is fleeting, and at last the body must succumb to death after its hundreds of joints have stiffened with old age. So why, bewildered fool, are you asking for medication? Just take the Krishna elixir, the one cure that never fails. So this is the reiterating the, oh, I didn't share it with you. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, so this is the word. Idam shariram parinama peshalam. This body is subject to transformation. The reality of this body is it's subjected to transformation. So if we can just look at our photographs when we are young and what we are right now. So the body from soul transmigrates from boyhood to youth to old age. Body is changing. Yeah, parinama peshalam. So this body is subject to transformation. So to the degree the mind is reluctant to accept this fact, to that degree, cosmetic industry can make money. Yeah, the whole entire cosmetic industry is, encashing on this reluctance of the mind to accept this fact that the body is subjected to change. So, idam shariram parinama peshalam, it is subject to transformation. Patatyavashyam. So it falls down, avashyam, inevitably. There is no question. Prabhupada often quotes, as sure as death. It will definitely fall down. Yeah, shatasandhi jarjaram has hundreds of, sandhi's joints, jarjaram, when they have become weak. So we see some old people suffering from different kinds of arthritis, the joints stiffen and they cannot have hard time moving. And of course, some young people think that it won't happen to me, but all of us are going towards that. The body becomes old, the body has its limitation. There are 6-fold transformations of the body. Today we have a particular body, tomorrow it's subject to change. Parinama peshalam. So again, this is the item of knowledge. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukha dosha anudarshanam. Anudarshanam means to be aware, of these facts, that this body is subject to old age, this body is subject to disease, this body is subject to death. Anudarshanam, that means to be constantly aware of this fact and to conduct why one should be aware of this fact and why is this considered knowledge. Because when one is aware of this fact, not just storing it as an intellectual information, but one is aware of this fact, one plans one's life accordingly. One lives one's life accordingly. One makes choices in life accordingly. And one leads one's life accordingly. So these items of knowledge, when practiced, they are capable of liberating one from the cycle of birth and death. That is why they're called items of knowledge. So being aware of what the old age that's awaiting us, or after that, the death that is awaiting one, does not make one morose. It just makes one prepared. Yeah. So that's the reaction of a person in knowledge. So Kulashekar Alvar is saying this body is anyway subjected to that transformations. So why do you have to be bewildered about it? One who is bewildered about it. Dhiras tatra na muhyati. Again, Gita. Dhiras tatra na muhyati. A person in knowledge is not bewildered by such a change. So here Kulashekar Alvar is saying, why, bewildered fool, are you asking for medication? Only if a person is bewildered by such changes, ask for medication. In terms of, it does not mean that we don't take any medication. It means that to have, some people are there, they have something called health paranoia. That is, they want all of their reports are there, right? Or they get an annual checkup done. They want all the readings to be perfect, within the range. Even a little here and there, they cannot handle. Why my ESR has come about a few points more or less. How do I get it back to normal? And they start watching videos on the YouTube, how to get rid of this diseased condition, and they keep meditating on it, and they start bringing all kind of medicines, and they start storing it up, and God knows when they will finish, and they start advising others also, and even forwarding those videos, and they just live in that world of health paranoia, thinking that these medicines will take care of me. So that is being bewildered, being a bewildered soul. Yeah. So Kulashekar Alvar is saying, why, bewildered fool, are you asking for medication? Yeah, why do you have to ask? Niramayam Krishna Rasayanam Piba. Yeah, so Niramayam. Constantly drink the elixir of Krishna's name. So this is also the reiteration of Yamu of present. Piba Mana Sri Krishna Divya Aushadam. So again, Krishna, he's telling this. Kimaushadam Prichati Mudha Durmate, Niramayam Krishna Rasayanam Piba. Rasayanam, the holy name of Krishna is like a rasayanam, because it brings back, it cures the material disease, and it brings back one to one's original constitutional position. So these are the two functions. F of holy name is equal to curing of material disease. Yeah. Then Bhavabhaya Pradhamsan Aushadam, right? Like all the fears of material life are Pradhamshan, they're just blasted out by the power of the holy name. And so another function is it revives one to one's original nature, one's original life. So that is why, again, I just repeat the verse which I spoke from the Ayurveda. The Veda Vyas has written, Achyuta Ananta Govinda, Achyuta Ananta Govinda, Namocharana Bheshajat. Yeah, whoever is reciting these medicines of the holy names, Achyutananta Govinda, Namocharana Bheshajat, Nashyanti Sakala Roga. All the diseases are lost. Satyam Satyam Vadamiham. Again and again, I'm telling this is the truth. So honestly, it takes, if we can really appreciate what's actually in our hands, in the form of these beads and chanting bags, it's mind-blowing actually. the effect of the holy name, I mean, the glories of holy name are unlimited. Even from the gross level, we can begin to understand what to speak of subtle and what to speak of the spiritual. Yeah, glories are unlimited. So the beautiful song is there of Madhuram Madhurebhyo api Mangalepyo pi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyo pi Harinamaiva Kevalam. So in that song, Kachartham Vismrite Ratna, the writer says that I have mistaken the holy name, which is like a gem, Ratna, to be a kacha, a broken piece of glass. So it's very important actually how much we are valuing this, the holy name that has been given to us. So we should not mistake this jewel to be an ordinary piece of glass. If we do that, then still the holy name has its effect. But Prabhupada says if we chant consciously, conscious of the power of the holy name, of the glories of the holy name, so in this life itself, you attain perfection and go back to God. That's what Prabhupada is saying. So that is what, if all these verses can help us to truly chant in the right attitude. So I feel that's the culmination of what we have learned. Thank you very much. I will end on time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So any discussion